Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Foliage. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So guys, today we'll be talking about a very interesting plant called as Anthuriums, also known as the flamingo flower or the pigtail. Now guys, talking about the habitat of these plants, they belong to a tropical environment. Now when we say tropical, it means that they require a lot of humidity. Ideally, they prefer a humidity level of above 80%, but they can still do well in a range of 60 to 70% of humidity. But if your humidity level is low, like let's say it's lower than 50%, then you'll have to either set up a humidifier or you'll have to set up the pebble tray. Now guys, talking about the light, they require a lot of bright light but not direct sunlight. Because in their natural habitat, they do not receive a lot of direct sunlight. They only tend to get a lot of dappled sunlight. Now because these plants are epiphytic, which means that they tend to grow on huge tree trunks, so they always have this canopy of other large trees. So ensure that you're giving them either indirect bright light or dappled sunlight, but do not give them direct sunlight, otherwise the leaves will start getting burnt. Now talking about flowers, this is the main feature of the plant. A lot of us tend to keep this plant because of the flower. Now I don't know about others, but I personally love the flowers of Anthuriums. Now guys, this entire thing is not the flower. This is basically the spathe, exactly how we have it in our peace lilies. So this entire thing is not a flower, is just a spathe. This tube that you see over here is the actual flower. Now the spathe usually is very brightly colored. This is actually a bright pink in color, but it is starting to fade because it's already done with its flowering time. The flower stays for around 2 to 2.5 months. That's the best part about this plant. The flower stays for a really long time, and the spathe is really bright colored. Now the spathe is basically there to attract insects, to attract the pollinators so that they can come closer to the tube, which is called as the spadix. Now spadix contains a lot of tiny flowers which we won't be able to see, and this is how it tends to look. So a spadix is basically a cluster of a lot of tiny flowers which usually are not very visible to us. Now these are some older anthuriums that I have. Now these are placed over here. Now guys, it's 4:30 p.m. in the evening, but still you can see how bright it is. So you can imagine how the light is in the morning and in the afternoon. And these buildings have these white walls, due to which the light tends to fall in even more brighter. So you can see how well they have been growing. You can see the size of the leaves. They are really huge, and they have been growing quite well. Now guys, talking about the soil mix, because these are epiphytic, they can even grow in soilless media as well as they can grow in regular soil. The regular soil mix, I have made a video on it. I've put the link in the description below. You can check it out. But otherwise, you can even grow them in soilless media. I will be making a video on soilless media very soon, so you can check it out as well. So now talking about watering, guys, avoid direct tap water. You can either give rainwater, or you can give distilled, or you can give old water. Now over here, I tend to collect a lot of rainwater. I try to harvest as much as rainwater as I can, but I always end up giving either distilled water or old water. I don't give fresh tap water because it contains a lot of minerals, and at times it tends to put a lot of brown spots on the leaves when we tend to give this tap water, which is high in minerals. So try to maintain a slight moisture in the soil. Whenever you feel that 1 to 2 inches layer of the soil is dry, you can go ahead and do a complete watering. So ensure that the soil maintains a slight moisture. Now again, the same rule applies over here as well. Ensure that there is a slight moisture, but that does not mean that you're going to keep your plant in soggy wet soil. Otherwise you will have a root rot. So ensure that the soil is well draining, porous, loose. The pot has a drain hole so that the excess water tends to drain out of the pot. They do not like to be sitting in wet, soggy soil. Now guys, while I was making this video, it suddenly started to rain, so I had to take a quick break, but you can see how beautiful the view is. This is exactly how their natural habitat tends to look. So basically they belong to a tropical forest kind of an environment. So this is a typical scenario for them, wherein it starts to rain anytime and then there is sun. So as you can see, while I was making this video, it just rained for 2 minutes and now the sun is out. So this is basically how our monsoons are. Now, because this plant tends to like a high humid environment, then you might happen to see spider mites on the plant. If you happen to see that, you can use whatever organic solution you have been using all this while, or you can treat it with some insecticides. Now, talking about toxic, this plant is toxic for your pets and small children. If the leaves are ingested or eaten, it could lead to blisters in the mouth. It could even lead to vomiting and diarrhea. So ensure that this plant is kept away from the reach of small children and your pets. So guys, I hope that this video on Anthuriums was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep planting.